Welcome to the Buck Stops here, the official podcast of NotInHallOfFame.com, and I'm your host, The Buck, the owner, the operator of NotInHallOfFame.com, but I'm also the owner of another project that I've worked on quite a bit, the fictitious Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, we've had that going on for a few years, but one of the inspirations for that is a gentleman named T. Mike Childs. He actually operates FakeBands.com and wrote a book not that long ago called the Rocklopedia Fakebandica. And a lot of the nominees that I came across that I didn't think of originally, I got off that site. So it's really exciting to talk to someone who, much like myself, is sort of obsessed with a lot of these fake bands. And the one interesting thing when you come up with these fake bands is how many of these bands that come across in film, television, actually go out on the road and perform. So sit back, relax, pop a cold one, because that's what I did. And that's what I'm doing right now. That's generally what I do a lot. And let's talk to T. Mike Childs, owner of FakeBands.com. Mike, it's really good to talk to you. I've been actually a fan of your work for a long, long time. So being able to sort of discuss your website is actually, I don't want to say a dream come true because that sounds a little corny, but I'm sure in our fictitious rock world we can come up with something that works, all right?
Okay, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
So when did you first come up with the idea for fakebands.com? And I believe you put out a book about 10 years ago regarding the same categories.
That's right. Yeah, it did start on the web all the way back in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to turn it into a book, for which I was very happy. And then I went back and revised the whole site into a wiki just to make it way, way easier for me and anybody else to add stuff because it was just getting too clunky.
And so when were you approached to do that book? And just tell everyone about the book that you have out there that is, I guess, still available on Amazon, I saw.
Yes, it is. The Rocklopedia Fakebandica. Yeah, it came out in 2004. It's the print version. It has a different text from the site, so you get more. Has a lot of pictures in the book. And it was a sort of labor of love. I jumped at the opportunity. I had been hoping to turn it into a book when I was approached by a book agent, and working with them, we were able to get it together and get it polished and get it published. So it's by a reputable publisher even. So I was very excited and very happy.
Is that something that you update regularly for other print versions?
No, the print version is it did get a minor revision to fix a lot of typos, but that's pretty much it. It's remained the one the single version, and all other updates are on the web. In fact, the original book only had about just under 1,000 entries, about 900 plus, and now the website is up to. We just hit 5,000 articles about a month ago.
I can't, and you've come up with ideas that I never would have came up with, especially a lot in the literary world.
Yes, I mean, despite the Rocklopedia name, I take entries from all genres of music. So there's a lot of fictional classical composers. There's a lot of fictional opera singers, blues, jazz, funk, soul, country music, polka, you name it. I want it in there.
I'd ask you now who your favorite fictional polka star is.
Oof. That's a little tricky. Let me think. I think my favorite there was like one of the, I don't know if you remember the California Raisins.
Mm-hmm.
The Raisin campaign turned into a brief singing sensation. They got like a couple of TV specials and a short-lived animated TV series out of it. And one of the specials, their manager convinces them to team up with this other guy, I think his name is Lick Broccoli, into the exciting new genre of disco polka. So I think that's probably my favorite back there.
I'm sure there was a disc. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I believe there was a song called Una Paloma Blanca that might have been like that in the late '70s. It sort of falls under disco polka. With every great idea, there's always sort of a genesis for it. So I'm wondering, what was sort of the thing that sort of made you think, you know what, there's so many of these fake bands. Or was there like one band in particular that you're thinking, you know what, I just, it's like a domino effect. There's so many more. Like, what was that for you?
Yeah, that's totally how that started out. And the origin of the whole thing is that I was out of ideas. I came up with this idea because I was out of other ideas. I was in a comedy group that we had set ourselves these goals of having some, new comedy web content, and it was my turn to come up with something, and I couldn't come up with anything actually funny, so I came up with this instead, and I had like a short list of like a couple of dozen fictional fictional rock bands and singers I'd come up with, and I decided I'd turn that in as my piece for the week, and it just grew. And the more we thought about it, the more things we came up, and it just was like it just rolled like a snowball, and there was tons. We came up with more and more. We'd always just think of one out of the middle of nowhere, and people were emailing in constantly for a while about it.
Do you have like a personal favorite, like that sort of like your go-to for fictional music?
Ooh, see, now that's a hard question, because you can't ask a father to choose among his children, can you? Come on.
Sophie did it.
There's a lot of good ones out there. I think my three personal favorites that have the most meaning to me are the Monkees, the Ruddles, and Spinal Tap. And to me, in my personal view, those are the three big ones, the holy trinity of fictional rock and roll.
So two of those, we're actually in our first class, because as you I think are aware of, one thing that we sort of created here at Not in Hall of Fame is the Fictitious Athlete and the Fictitious Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Monkees and Spinal Tap being two of the first inductees in the first class. Yet sometimes when I'll discuss, and when I'll discuss that with other people, especially the Monkees will come up and they'll say, "Well, wait, they're a real band." But that's one I've always sort of struggled with myself, and I just let the people sort of decide that, because it wasn't anything that I personally decided. It's an open vote. So my vote means as much to everyone else. I just curate it.
Yeah, the people push back on that Monkees thing like that really hard, but it's I've seen so many fictional musical acts now that I see a continuum. It's a spectrum of fictionality, from totally fictional, up through the Monkees and Spinal Tap. I mean, Spinal Tap did shows. I got to go see a Spinal Tap concert. It was awesome. And I even saw a Monkey show, and that was pretty good too. But the Monkees, I think I actually. Like, prefab assembly, were assembled for a show. And then they actually struggled against their own image for a while later in their career, and tried, wanted to wrest control away and become a real band.
Yeah, and I think I have to agree with you. That's sort of like why their origin story essentially is that. And I do like what you're sort of saying with Spectrum, and that's probably something that I might even borrow as I'm sort of moving forward. Like another band that was just inducted into our little hall. I believe they performed live at a music festival not that long ago, and that was Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. And they just performed. How the hell did that happen?
That's in my top 10.
Yeah. And it just one of those ones that just are absolutely brilliant to me. Do you have one that sort of is sort of a guilty pleasure, one that you sort of know isn't particularly well known or even that good, but it's just there and you can't stop thinking about it?
Ooh, I don't know. There's a lot of I think but lately, I kind of have phases where I'm, as I'm adding them and looking for them, and there's one one that's funny. I think it's funny that it's probably too old now for anybody else to really enjoy, but it's Horrid Noise. It's a classical composer from a comedy bit from 1885. So it was published in a music magazine in 1885, and it's a satire set in 1995. And the joke is that concerts, some so grandiose and longer. Wagner has written has written like 10 hours worth of the his opera cycle. And so it's just a satire of that. Where let me see here, this particular composer, has 150 movements to his symphony. It takes 10 whole days to complete, 24 hours a day. It takes over 5,000 musicians to play, and he uses no less than 8 fictional instruments in it, which I think might be a record in my research.
That was a lot more obscure than I was sort of thinking. My go-to is "Scum of the Earth" from a WKRP episode.
Oh yes. Oh well, there's actually 2 Scums of the Earth, or Scum of the Earth. There's 2 of them. There's one.
I did not know that. What's the second
awesome one? And then there's a Shel Silverstein song called "Scum of the Earth," which profiles a completely different band. And Shel's his first act.
I think there's only one fictional band that did apparently get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, according to the episodes. I think you even mentioned that's where I learned that from an obscure '80s show, underappreciated one. "It's Your Move." Was it the Dregs of Humanity? I think the last thing it actually says.
Oh yes.
Yeah, that they actually got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes, they did. Actually, there's one more. There's this. They were about to be inducted in the Hall of Fame from the movie The Rocker from 2008
yes.
with Rainn Wilson.
Yes.
And
Vesuvius.
And so they were, yes, it's a big 80s hair metal band. They were going to get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but then there was a lip syncing scandal, so I'm not sure if they actually got in. But my favorite part about that movie, well, not part, but Fred Armisen.
I'll do that. So you were talking about Fred Armisen.
Yeah, well, so Fred Armisen played the Fred Armisen played the bass player in Vesuvius in the movie The Rocker 2000, and then later he just started churning out his own bands on Saturday Night Live, and then in his own series Portlandia. So he has so many fake bands that he gets his own category on my website, because there's just some people who are either responsible for creating so many fictional acts, or there's so many parodies of a real act that I have to make a category to stick them all in.
So if you were to sort of come up with the greatest sort of actors to sort of if there was sort of, if I were to create, let's say, a wing of just the actors who perform this, what would sort of your first class be? Would Armisen be that, or would it be some others?
The most recent leading contender, but I think if you go back to Spinal Tap, you've got Christopher Guest and Michael McKean, who was the heart of that band, and they portrayed a number of other fictional acts. Chris did some stuff. He also he's played a few other ones back when he was with National Lampoon. And Michael McKean has also got some other bands under his belt from Saturday Night Live and some other series that he's been on. And back when he was on Laverne and Shirley, he was in Lenny and the Squigtones.
just another one of those things that just makes me laugh just thinking about it. But yes.
Yeah, it's great. It's especially funny because there's only 2 of them.
Oh my God, yeah. So that Saturday Night Live almost seems to be like a breeding ground too, where for just all sorts of fictional music too coming out of that. It almost seems to be a requirement that if you can't sing, you're not going to be on that show anymore.
Yeah, just cataloging Saturday Night Live bands could keep me, busy for a year, I think.
No, there's definitely been sort of a lot out there. Is there anything also that you're really watching now? Like, for example, Empire, despite what's sort of going on with Jesse, we won't even go there. But has that been like a show that you'll watch just because of the whole fictional aspect of it and your love of music?
Yeah, there's definitely stuff I've only sought out and watched because of this book and because of this this project, this sort of ongoing hobby I have, which I really love doing it. I wouldn't be able to do it if I didn't. A lot of bad things out there with bands in them that are just, there's like terrible movies and TV shows and comic books and bad novels, and they've all got bands and singers in them. And I'll skim through them to find the good bit I want. So yeah, I definitely go out of my way to find stuff. I actually these days have kind of stayed away from some of these like mainstream shows because it's almost too easy in favor of like finding really it's almost more fun to me to find.
So sort of like searching for the hidden gem then.
There's a couple I'd like to shine a light on if you don't mind.
Of course, no, I don't mind at all. Please do.
Yeah, I just discovered this one. Across in TV shows, comic books, movies at different eras, and this one is just so hilarious though. So it's a Superman comic book, and it's set on Bizarro World. And, Bizarro Superman stories are always the weird stories to start with. But I think this story might be like the weirdest Bizarro story. So on Bizarro World, which is a cubicle planet, there's an invasion, not from outer space, but from inner space, of course, because they always do things the opposite. So these weird, lumpy blue kryptonite monsters start coming out of the ground and rampaging and smashing buildings and attacking Bizarro people and killing them because they have blue kryptonite radiation, which is fatal to Bizarros, as all good geeks should know, right?
So, sadly, I do know that, yes.
Yes. But since Bizarros always do the opposite, instead of fighting the invaders, they're cheering them on. And so there's the band, the Bizarro Cool Cat Combo, sings an entire song. There's like a page or 2 pages of the whole story devoted to Weep and Wail Bizarro Lois singing an entire goofy song about being attacked by blue kryptonite monsters and how much they love it. And even better is another member of the band is Bizarro Hipster Number 1.
That's the name of the character, Bizarro Hipster Number 1?
Yes, which kills me. And he's got a goatee and a little mustache and a slouchy hat and leather jacket and everything. And the other part that's great is like this is like 1961, and the writers, these old white guy writers are mixing up rock and roll and beatniks because they think it's the exact same thing. They think beatniks love jazz. They don't care about rock and roll, but they've just scrambled it all together because that's what they know.
The funny thing is, as you're describing that, I'm picturing this as an action movie that would be that Bizarro Hipster Number 1, played by Adrian Brody. I don't know why, but it's not like he's got anything else to do.
I think that would be brilliant. Yeah, I would pay money to see that movie.
There we go. That's our next project. So
yeah,
I definitely want your opinion on this. So for the fictitious rock and roll hall that I've got now, we're going to be adding a new category next year, the contributor section. So that would sort of be things that you've touched on, like the DJs, some managers, etc. Who do you think would be? Yeah. So it'll be sort of wide open again for the public. People can vote, so it won't be anyone that I'm going to crowbar in. Who do you think should be like the first entry?
Oh well, you got to get Swan.
Yes.
You need Swan from Phantom of the Paradise. Paul, played by Paul Williams.
Yes.
Again, Paul Williams has a number of hands in a number of fictional bands.
Yeah, I actually got so excited when he started following me on Twitter. Then I messaged him once, and then he messaged back, or his handlers. I don't know, but it was still, hey, it was Swan. I got a kick out of it.
Yeah, no, he's the head of so Swan, is the head of Death Records in the 1974 film Phantom of the Paradise, and he makes and breaks the stars, and he has a deal with the devil, literally. He did so he won't age, so yeah, he's like a super powerful figure. He's behind, there's like 3 or 4 acts in the movie that he's builds up and tears down. So I think he's a mover and shaker. So I think you definitely need to put Swan in your first round of inductees.
Hopefully he'll get in. It's very, very possible. The one I keep thinking might be a first ballot. Again, I don't know because it'll be up to the public, and that's not going to go live until January. I keep thinking it's going to be Dr. Johnny Fever.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think he should be in the first round too. Yeah, he's I agree. I think DJ Johnny Fever definitely should be in the first round.
Yeah, beyond that, I couldn't really think of anyone else who I thought was going to be sort of a lock because there's so many just obscure things. And as I'm doing sort of like the preliminary research, a lot of it is sort of like based on a lot of your work. So thank you very much. If this ever hits, obviously you'll come after me for royalties. But it's almost like you notice the same pattern. Every manager is evil, which probably they mostly are. There's always the girlfriend, the hanger-on, the one that they should have been with all along.
Right. I think another good producer for your might be Steve Cornelian from the Paul Simon movie One Trick Pony that came out in 1980. And the reason I would pick that is because Steve Cornelian is played by real rocker Lou Reed.
Which is just some amazing casting right there. Actually, one of the ones I just wrote was Ozzy Osbourne as from Trick or Treat.
Oh, right, yeah, as the preacher.
Yeah, exactly. A preacher against anti-rock and roll, and this was in 1986. So not sort of the drugged out, zoned out Ozzy that a lot of millennials know. No, just this was. Badass.
This was old school biting the head off a bat, scaring parents out of the
Yes. Although, did you see the Dirt on Netflix?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, so there's the fictionalized version of Ozzy there where he's licking his own piss. And if it was anyone else, you just wouldn't believe it.
Right.
Love it. So, where can people sort of get your book, get your or go to your site? Like just a shameless plug here, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fakebands.com. That's your one-stop shop there. You can get a link to Amazon to buy the book if you're interested. You can contact me personally. Shoot me an email. Send me some suggestions. I'm always open for suggestions. I always like to hear something I missed, which I used to get a lot more of, but I covered so many bases now. Very few people, pipe in with, "Hey, you missed such and such,"
which is a nice testament to your work for sure.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I get emails calling me an asshole for the rankings I do, but hey, it's the cross that I bear, I suppose.
Well, it's all if it's all just internet votes, it's not on you.
Yeah, it's all good. So when we launch the new portion, I'd love to have you back. Would that work for you at some time?
Yeah, absolutely. Shoot me an email. Let me know.
All right, sounds good. Mike, thanks so much. It was a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully we'll do this again.
Yeah, likewise. A pleasure talking to you. Good luck on the site.
Oh, thanks so much. Take care.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.